All right, we can go. Kind of bungeeing today. And just a reminder, can we have all noises off? Like I keep hearing a Slack click from the equipment. Three minutes. Oh, we got a full 3 minutes. Is that true? We have 3 minutes? Okay. No April Fools here. We are talking all things very serious. That was a lovely young lady on her Instagram. I do not know her. The account is My Story Book Library. And if you missed that video, it was showcasing children's books that teach and affirm transgenderism. So for kids to read, I'm not sharing this to degrade or spread any kind of, a supposed hate, as people always like to accuse us of. But this actually makes me very sad. And I found this on my Instagram feed, and I wanted to share it with all of you today. Everyone, and I've said this before and I'll say it again, everyone deserves dignity and respect, most of all, children. I say that as a mom. We're going to talk about it all on today's Parent Alert. Good afternoon, everyone. Today is Tuesday, April 1st. April already. Hello. I'm Jill Simonian. Welcome to Parent Alert by PragerU Kids. We are live on, I do this every time, right? And I'm going to get it. Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Rumble, X. Did I miss any? I missed none? I missed none. Back in the back, she's saying thumbs up. Yes, thank you, producer Jace. We are live everywhere, and today we got a lot to tackle. We're sharing the following headlines with you. One, Secretary of Education is warning a few states for continuing to affirm gender ideology in schools, allegedly violating FERPA in schools. The second headline I'm going to share with you is the Mississippi Miracle, as everyone likes to talk about it. How Mississippi, Louisiana, and Alabama have all improved their students' Rewind. I told you it was going to be a rough day today. We're talking about how that's what happens when you're live, right? We're talking about the Mississippi Miracle, how Mississippi, Louisiana, and Alabama have improved student reading and math scores beyond all expectations. So that's the piece of good news. And then later in today's episode, one of the reasons why I shared that children's transgender book at the very top was I am going to share with you Los Angeles Unified's Day of Transgender Visibility, their lesson plans. Now, these happened yesterday, March 31st. I'm going to share with you the lesson directives. They are all public information. It is online and out there. I want to share with you, and I'm also going to be reading from one of the books that LAUSD recommended for elementary school students. So get the kids out of earshot when we get to this one. All right, I'll give you a heads up. That's later. Drop me a comment where you're watching from and listening from. Subscribe for free if you haven't already to PragerUkids.com, because we've got wholesome videos and lessons that teach kids K through 12, all the knowledge, life skills, history, good character, financial literacy, and more. Free resources. We love to shout that from the rooftops. Free, free, free. Thank you for all of you who support us. We can't do it without our generous donors. And we've also got tons of faith-based content too. So for fun, let's start with fun. These are always fun, right? I always have a good time. Tell me where you are watching and listening from in the comments. Okay, but now moving on to the headlines for fun. Let's start with Education Secretary Linda McMahon. I'm sure you may have been following this, and drop a comment if you have any specific examples maybe coming from your school district or your state. But Secretary McMahon, the last week plus, has been calling out states for pushing gender ideology, saying, hey, the administration here in Washington, D.C., has certified that certain things are divisive, harmful, age inappropriate, do not belong in schools. We want to keep education on a knowledge and academic track. And some of these states ain't abiding by the rules, right? So no surprise. We're here in California in the belly of the beast. But recently, she sent California Governor Newsom a letter last week, which made me so happy. And I'm going to share it with you. We're going to read little tidbits about it. But before we do, here's the latest of what is happening in Maine. Let's roll this, what Secretary McMahon is telling Maine.
Hello, I'm U.S. Secretary of Education Linda McMahon, joined by Parents Defending Education founder and president Nicole Neely. Today, the Department of Education is announcing an unprecedented directed investigation into the Maine Department of Education for alleged violations of the Family Educational Rights Privacy Act, or FERPA. We have heard disturbing reports that dozens of Maine school districts allow for schools to create gender plans that support a student's transgender identity and then hide those plans from parents, claiming they don't fall under education records. That is unacceptable and unlawful, if true. Parents and guardians have the right to access their child's education records to guide and safeguard their child's mental, emotional, and physical well-being, and we will uphold the law.
We will uphold the law. First of all, that is from, she mentioned it in the beginning, Parents Defending Education, which is a terrific organization that, frankly, does a lot of advocacy work and investigative work at the ground level across each state, asking parents to send in their firsthand personal accounts about what's happening in their school districts. So I love, I've been a longtime fan of Parents Defending Education as a mom personally. But I pointed during that video, if you saw me in the little box in the corner, when she said the words, if true. If true, key words. Yes, thank you, Secretary McMahon. As parents, yes, we have all had our experiences one way or another with seeing how many of these directives are playing out regarding gender ideology, are playing out in schools or in our girls' locker rooms. I know the last time we did a Parent Alert, we were talking about the middle school locker room in Deerfield, Illinois, where the the young man who wanted to be a girl was changing in the girls' locker room. So we know that these things are happening in real time. But what I appreciate about what Linda McMahon said was, if true, the Department of Education has a right to investigate these allegations from parents claiming that these things are really happening. Because many times, as we all know, if we share something personal or, maybe it happened to a friend of ours or a family member, we're automatically accused of that's not happening. They're not hiding gender identity from parents. And it's no, it actually is happening. So I appreciate her saying those words, if true. Let's take another look. For those of you who may be listening, we heard her say that word FERPA. And, listen, I'm a mom. I create content at Prager Kids. I'm always trying to educate myself. That's the purpose of me doing these Parent Alert Lives, so we can maybe have a little bit of informational reality and know and get to know some of these terms that maybe some of us don't know. FERPA is, for those of you who need to know, the Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act. It's a federal law that protects the privacy of student education records, and it gives parents or eligible students the right to access, review, and seek to amend these records, as well as have control over the disclosure of information, particularly in this case in education. So what Secretary McMahon is saying is, there's an alleged violation of parental rights, an alleged violation of FERPA. And remember, these are constitutional rights to direct the education and upbringing of our children. We parents need to remember this, because most of us, if you're like me, I'm not going to tell you my age. Don't do the math, but let's just say I have been in school, I was just starting school when the Department of Education was created. So what that means is that I, unfortunately, was part of a generation that really didn't learn civics. I thought I had a great public school education, but I really did not learn all the things I needed to know for how our system of government works. So when we say that we have the constitutional right to direct the upbringing and education of our children, we do. It's through our U.S. Constitution. It's through the Due Process Clause of the 14th Amendment, which protects the fundamental right of us parents to direct the care, upbringing, and education of our kids. I am not an attorney, but I encourage you to look up more details, because this is all public information. And the way that we right the ship is by continuing to educate and inform ourselves regarding parental rights. And that's why I'm here with you today, every 2 weeks on Parent Alert Live. So when it comes to parental rights, the Supreme Court has consistently upheld the fundamental right of we parents to make decisions about our kids. And some of these examples of protected rights include the right to decide where a child lives, who makes decisions about their health, education, and religious upbringing, and the right to maintain regular contact with them even if the kids do not live with the parent. So when it comes to state intervention, while we do have significant rights, the state, as the Supreme Court has recognized in the past, the state does have a role in protecting kids, particularly when there is evidence of neglect or abuse. And I say that because we need to remember the word evidence. When there's evidence, not supposed, assumption. Because California, and I'm telling all of you this from across the country, we are here in California, we experience this firsthand in literal local news stories. California, for the past few years, has consistently thrown away that very important evidence factor and jumped in to say that the state is quote unquote protecting kids who might want to socially transition their gender at schools. California has not, saying that, well, this child went to a teacher, said that they want to gender transition at school, but that they don't want their parent to know. So then we, the state, assume that that child is in an unsafe atmosphere at school. There's no evidence for it. The state of California has assumed this, and that's how they have justified stepping over the line this last year in particular. The background happening in California that relates to, what Secretary McMahon was describing about the investigation that she's going to start doing in Maine. She's also going to start doing it in California. But the background of that, before I share you the letter that she wrote our California Governor Newsom, the background is this. Chino Valley School District, and I've talked about this before on many parent alerts. Chino Valley School District is a public school district here in Southern California. Their school board president is a mom who was never involved in politics before. Her name is Sonia Shaw. Full disclosure, I know her. We've become very, very friendly acquaintances, and I'm so thankful for her bravery and conviction when it comes to standing up and really protecting children. President Sonia Shaw and her school board at Chino Valley School District voted and passed a parental notification policy. This is about a year and a half ago. They voted on it. Went through the full system, local control, all the things. After they voted on it and passed it, saying that the school must inform parents if there is a student that wants to transition their gender socially at school, that, the Chino Valley said parents must be informed. California's Attorney General Rob Bonta went after them, claiming that the Chino Valley School District and the board were not allowed to pass a parental notification policy as it would pertain to their own people in the district. The school board and the community didn't back down. Long story short, they didn't back down, legally speaking, and they prevailed. And they kept their parental notification policy in place. So I'm assuming, I'm just pontificating, if you will, that California's Governor Newsom and the Attorney General, Rob Bonta, perhaps did not like that this little Southern California school district prevailed legally over what they were trying to impose, because they've continued to resist movement towards parental notification policies. So last week, Secretary McMahon sent a letter to Governor Newsom saying, basically, hey, we need a commitment that you're going to protect girls against gender ideology intruding into their spaces and sports opportunities. So right now, let's pull up the article that makes me so very happy. I can't help it. This article is from the Post Millennial, and the headline is Education Secretary Linda McMahon warns Governor Gavin Newsom to ditch gender identity, comply with Title IX, or risk federal funding. I just want to get to this and scroll through it and just go through little bits and pieces with you right now. So she warned him that the state must comply with the president's recent executive order barring biological males from women's sports or risk the state's federal funding for schools. And this is Linda McMahon's quote in the article on Post Millennial. Your recent comments about male athletes playing in women's sports, that it is deeply unfair, came to the attention of my office this week. The letter began. Now what she's referring to is when Charlie Kirk and Gavin Newsom sat down together for Governor Newsom's new podcast, and they had a discussion about biological boys being involved in girls' sports and changing in the locker room. And Governor Newsom basically said, yeah, that's not fair. And everyone just kind of, took a step back and said, wait, what just happened? If you saw that interview, drop a comment. Let us know your thoughts. I haven't shared it today, but I'm curious to know what you think. So Linda McMahon's letter started with that. And she continued on, I'm writing on behalf of the U.S. Department of Education to request a clarification on your stance as governor of California and to inquire as to your intention to encourage California public schools to comply with federal law on this issue. So I want to show you the letter right now. Take a look at the letter. And this letter is from Liberty Justice Center. This is the law firm that helped Chino Valley School District maintain its parental notification policy. So I read that, I shared this on my Instagram. I probably read this letter a million times because it just, I mean, you can't help it. It just makes you happy. In the highlighted font, at the bottom of the first page of her letter, if you're watching this right now in real time with me, Secretary McMahon asks Governor Newsom, will you commit to working with the legislature to reverse the law that you signed, Governor, banning schools from notifying parents about students' gender identity? And can we just have some applause for that? Because this is about accountability, and this is about demanding that our leaders be honest and transparent with us. This is an insistence from the people, now backed by Secretary McMahon, incidentally, saying, we don't want your hypocrisy anymore. We don't want to go through this, dare I say, emotional and practical turmoil time and time again where we're gaslit and you send your attorney general to the school board to punish them and berate them and demand that they negate their parental notification policy that they voted on locally, and then turn around the year after and say, oh, yes, I agree as governor. That's not fair. We cannot do this anymore as parents. So, it's that phrase, no one is above the law, right? No one is above the law. So her letter calls for Title IX compliance. And if you don't know, Title IX is a federal law prohibiting sex-based discrimination in education. In this case, the females in the locker room who are uncomfortable with a biological male, that is discrimination against them. McMahon warned in her letter that applying gender identity in place of biological sex could violate Title IX, and that schools, if they continue to, violate these situations, may face loss of federal funding. And she emphasized the governor's duty to inform schools of this legal risk. So let's think, just a moment. Schools here in California specifically are obviously saying, by rejecting the parental notification policy, by rejecting by rejecting splitting up locker rooms by biological sex, states like California are basically saying, well, we don't care about federal funding. We're running things our way, claiming, quote, protection of, children or protection of transgender children. But the thing that I can't help but remember is they sure cared about losing federal funding a few years ago with all the mandates that they forced on families for masking, for required vaccinations that were yet unproven. They sure cared about federal funding then. So tell me that unionized public schools aren't political centers that use our children as pawns to usurp our rights as parents. Tell me. Somebody tell me in the comments. Prove me wrong. In a few minutes, I want to share with you the directives and the materials for Los Angeles Unified School District's Day of Trans Visibility that was scheduled for yesterday, March 31st. But as a parent, I say, and that's going to be later in the show in a few minutes, but as a parent, I say we can't afford to let our schools degrade any further and distract from teaching children what they are failing at right now nationwide, math and reading. We can't continue to hijack our education system with all of this back and forth, time wasting, gender ideology arguments and fights at the expense of children learning actual knowledge so that they can become productive and informed citizens. We can't afford to do it anymore. So with that, I encourage you to keep the momentum going and sign our Stop Woke Education petition that we have at PragerU, PragerU Kids. Keep the momentum going. Yes, we have the support now to return our education system back towards truth, back towards academics, back towards accountability, but we cannot sit idly by and say, okay, great, everything's gonna be fixed, okay? Continue to fight for education. All right, and that petition is on PragerU.com, and I have the link, direct link to that is posted in the description of the title of this particular Parent Alert Live for April 1st, 2025. Okay, next up, I want to share some good news with you. It's not all doom and gloom. This is good news. Mississippi, Alabama, and Louisiana have improved their student reading and math proficiency against all odds, on their own, through their localized state systems. And this is the article that I'm sharing with you today. This is from theconversation.com, and it's titled Mississippi's Education Miracle. They're calling this the Mississippi Miracle, a model for global literacy reform. And I should point out, let me pull up the article on my end here so that I can see it with you. Here we go. I want to point out to you that Mississippi once ranked near the bottom of the U.S. education system. The bottom. Their literacy rates have dramatically improved. As of 2023, the state ranks among the top 20. Yay! I'm so happy for you, Mississippi. Congratulations. Among the top 20 for fourth grade reading, and this is a significant leap from its 49th place rating in 2013. So in 10 years, they went from a ranking of 49th in reading all the way up to the top 20. I don't know any parent or teacher, I don't care what your political leanings are, this is something that should unify us all. In 2013, and this is how it happened. This is the sequence of events, if you will. In 2013, Mississippi passed the Literacy-Based Promotion Act, which was a law that reoriented early education around phonics, fluency, vocabulary, and comprehension. And the law included teacher training, reading coaches, student support plans, and third grade retention for those who did not reach the reading benchmarks. And the gains were also seen, this is the interesting part to me, just as a mom. So they saw gains in reading, but they also saw gains in math and for younger siblings, which really suggests a ripple effect when when you're talking about learning environments. The program cost $15 million a year, which broke down to $32 per student, which is 0.2% of the state's budget. So for every $1 invested, $32 in lifetime earnings is gained due to higher academic achievement and future wages. That's the economic return for this program. So the economic return for kids getting educated works out for every $1 invested that was invested to this reading program that returned to phonics, which, decades ago, it was all about teach the kids phonics and they'll learn how to read. And then that was abandoned for some other strange reading mechanism that is proven that it's not teaching kids to read. For every dollar invested, $32 in lifetime earnings is gained. So this is proof that poverty is not a barrier to success. Mississippi achieved great gains despite being one of the poorest states, and they spent less per student than most states. So it's not all about money. We always hear, throw money, we need more money. It's not always about more money. Only 31% of U.S. fourth graders are proficient in reading, and 40% are below basic. We will not continue to function as a country if these rates continue to persist, period. When teacher training, phonics, and accountability come together, as has been demonstrated by this Mississippi miracle, even the poorest states can leapfrog in education. We also saw this happen in Louisiana. And education reform really does not need to break the bank. Mississippi is doing this on a shoestring budget, and they're still winning. And they're not doing it with, flashy tech and all these complex reforms. They're literally focused on going back to the basics. And it's paying off. And it's great news. And I'm so happy. So with that, celebrating Mississippi's boosted reading scores, I'm going to share with you our books that we have at PragerU Kids. How did you guess? And to think, this is just a side comment, to think that these books, many of these books that we have here, are cited as dangerous by many groups across the country. We're seeing a little show and tell on your screen right now. I've dropped the direct link to check out all of these books in the description of this Parent Alert Live. We've got our Otto's Tales series, Let's Meet, Today Is, Let's Visit, teaching our youngest learners, kindergarten through second grade, about the community helpers that keep our nation running. I got a hard copy. Now, the hard copies are available for purchase on Amazon. This one is Let's Meet a Police Officer. Look at the illustrations. There we go. Yay, can you see? I'm very excited about this, and I do, if you watch these Parent Alerts a lot, I do this often because our illustrations are all done in-house by our terrific team of designers and animators, and these books are so much fun. They're so engaging. This is Let's Meet a Police Officer. This is Let's Visit Mount Rushmore. Kids get a little bit of a history lesson about Mount Rushmore, getting them excited about America's landmarks. What do we have here? We also have books about the presidents, which you did probably see on the scroll when we did the link. This particular book about the presidents is featuring Ronald Reagan and George H.W. Bush. We have a book about every single president from George Washington through, I believe it's President Carter. I believe it's through President Carter. But look at the insides of these. These presidents' books are geared towards 3rd through 5th graders. They're great educational resources. Teachers, this is great for you because it's got all the pictures, all the information. It's got fun facts. It's got historical facts. We've also got room for writing activities. We also have, where did I see the crossword? I can't find the crossword puzzles, but we got all sorts of fill-in-the-blank crossword puzzles, games, things that are really engaging to get kids learning and reading. And it's something that really heartens me is when I see improvements in reading like we have seen. I described what happened in Mississippi with the Mississippi Miracle, but you can also look up independently what's going on in Louisiana. Shout out to Louisiana. Big thank you to Louisiana. And Dr. Cade Brumley, who is their superintendent there, they're one of our state partners, and they welcome PragerU Kids books and materials in their classrooms as free supplemental, non-mandatory supplemental materials for K through 12th grade. Alabama has also made great strides, so I encourage you to look those up. But it heartens me knowing that these books are not, we have to teach children how to read again. They cannot be functionally, they have to be functionally literate. They cannot be functionally illiterate. But to think, these books are, kind of cited by those who are a little misled and misunderstand what we actually do here at PragerU. They're often cited as dangerous or harmful. I'm going to share with you a book that actually is harmful in a moment by way of Los Angeles Unified School District's Day of Transgender Visibility. So let's take a look right now at, and I teased this from the beginning, LAUSD.org. Is that the website pulled up? There we go. We got it pulled up right there. So yesterday was March 31st, 2025. Drop me a comment if your family is in the Los Angeles Unified School District. And I know that, many of you who might be watching or listening across the country say, oh yeah, that's California. You guys are wacko anyways. But just hear me out, because we continue to share these things with you from Los Angeles, from California, because what starts in California and what happens in California truly does resonate with a ripple across the country. So March 31st, 2025 was Los Angeles Unified School District's Day of Trans Visibility. And I am sharing this with you again, not to vilify, truly. This is not to incite hateful reactions in any way. Everyone deserves dignity and respect. I'll say it again for those in the back. Everyone deserves dignity and respect. We believe in treating everyone with the golden rule, even if we don't understand them. Treat people with kindness, even if you don't believe in their way of life, even if you don't understand their way of life. Even if you do agree with their way of life, always, of course, we treat everyone with dignity and respect. So LAUSD said on their website, share this with your students. I want to click, let me see. Oh, there we go. We've got the flyer pulled up. There we go. Producer Jace is one step ahead of me. Thank goodness for that. So we're sharing this with you, the flyer that was distributed online, public information, and encouraging teachers to share with their students. And this flyer, we'll just go through it. Transgender Day of Visibility celebrates the strength and successes of transgender and gender diverse people and raises awareness of transgender rights. So we have the lesson. Let's go ahead actually and click on this first thing that says lesson. So we have, this is the lesson. Now it doesn't cite here if it's for high school, if it's for kindergarten, but this was shared across school levels on a district level. So we're in the lesson, and if we flip through the slides, let's just go through. So have a pet, would you rather have a pet dragon, have a pet unicorn? Okay, so these icons indicate to me this isn't for high school. To me, this screams second grade, first grade. I mean, my girls are in middle school now, but this is something that if my daughter saw that unicorn in the first grade, all eyes on the unicorn. Keep flipping through. Okay. So, and I'm going to flip through on my end here because when I look into the camera, I have a hard time seeing. Truth be told. Here we go. So the objectives of this lesson: learn the definition of transgender. Can second graders even say the word transgender? Explore the history of Transgender Day of Visibility and examples of transgender people throughout history. Discover ways to be an upstander through being an ally. Okay, so this is activism. Continue to flip through the slides. What does it mean to be transgender? Someone whose gender identity does not match what they were assigned at birth. The people, the folks who are promoting this type of lesson to be inclusive, I ask them, does this include the families who are maybe Christian, who believe that God created you exactly as you should be? Let's flip to the other slide. Gender diversity. So we've got genderqueer, gender fluid, gender, all these words. Again, these graphics are leading me to believe, as a mom, that this lesson plan is for young elementary students. I'm flipping through the slides, a few transgender people and their accomplishments. Okay. I'm flipping through to the end where it says share out. What do you think is the importance of this day? I'm flipping to the next slide. What can you do? So now I'm on the what can you do slide. And I'm just going to go through all the thumbnails. Create or join a GSA club. Seek out supportive advisors. Focus on club membership. So you want to recruit everyone to be in your club, participate in school-wide campaigns and initiatives, host events, engage in community building activities, promote learning opportunities for peers about LGBTQ plus historical figures, model for others by living as your most authentic self, be an upstander for others, and know your rights. So this is all very activist driven. Political instruction should never masquerade as education. That's all I'm going to say. Political instruction should never masquerade as education, especially for our youngest learners who have, in fact, been proven to be less than half of them proficient in math and English across the country. A few of my personal thoughts, I've already said it. It's activism. And another thought that I have when looking at this is this whole lesson plan was likely pushed through and delivered to children in classrooms without expressed parental consent. Now remember, passive consent is what's in most school districts. And that's when you as the parent, the onus is on you to seek out what's going on and then proactively opt out of anything that you might think could be against your own values. In California, we have passive consent. I would argue that every single school across this nation should have should have required parental consent, and that parents should be required to opt in if they want these children learning these things. Write the book, print the book, sell the book, do all the things, but having this in taxpayer-funded public schools is not age appropriate. I want to share with you, if we can go back, Jace, to that original flyer that showed the Transgender Day of Visibility, I want to show you right now, there is a link on that flyer right there that says affirming book lists. So if we can click on that link, and it takes us to, all affirming books, elementary school books, book list and lesson plans, and then they have high school. Let's go ahead and click on the book list for elementary school. Elementary school, remember, these are 5-year-olds up to 12-year-olds. And on the book list, if you scroll down this list, you will see a book. Now, I've seen some of these books. I have seen the inside of some of these books. Some of them are picture books. I have read one particular book from front to back, and that book is called George by Alex Gino, and I have it right here. Now, this here says Melissa on the cover, but you can see previously published as George. So this book, titled Melissa, here's the description of the book on the back. When people look at Melissa, they think they see a boy named George, but she knows she's not a boy. She knows she's a girl. Melissa thinks she'll have to keep this a secret forever. Then her teacher announces in their class play that they're going to do Charlotte's Web. Melissa really, really, really wants to play Charlotte with the help of her best friend. Melissa comes up with a plan, not just so she can be Charlotte, but so everyone can know who she is once and for all. Okay, so I read this book from cover to cover not too long ago. I'm going to show you the inside of it. Anyone who is a teacher or a parent who has had children in elementary school, ooh, that's bright light. I don't know if you can see it, but if you can see the text on this, the size of the copy, the spacing of the copy, this is a 3rd grade level. If you look this book up on Amazon or on book lists, they'll try to pass it off as like, oh yeah, it's for 6th graders. This is about a 4th grade student. This copy, the text, is a 3rd grade level. So no 6th grader is going to be reading this. And they're certainly not going to be reading a book about a 4th grader. Because if you have a 6th grader, you know that they're not interested in kids that are younger than them. I'm going to read to you a passage on page 46. This is the part where if you have kids in earshot, you might just want to put on your ear pods or turn the volume down. It's nothing too explicit, but remember, this is for a 4th grader. George had seen an interview on television a few months ago with a beautiful woman named Tina. She had golden brown skin, thick hair with blonde highlights, and long sparkling fingernails. The interview said that Tina had been born a boy, then asked her whether she'd had the surgery. The woman replied that she was a transgender woman and that what she had between her legs was nobody's business but hers and her boyfriend's. So, not as explicit as some of the other things I've read on this Parent Alert, but for a fourth grader to be reading this, for this to be recommended by Los Angeles Unified School District, recommended reading at an elementary school level, mind you, the parents of most LAUSD kids probably had no idea that this Trans Day of Visibility lesson plan recommended reading suggestions were even happening yesterday. Is it appropriate? Again, write the book, publish the book, sell the book. But having this in taxpayer-funded public school libraries where kids are not with their parents on site to direct them, to guide them, to say, yeah, that's okay to read, or no, you're not ready for that yet, is it appropriate? No, it's a violation of parental rights. So if teachers are spending time on all of this stuff, which has been addressed and directed to discard from schools by executive orders, does this mean that we can now start including Bible study in public schools in the name of inclusion? I'm really asking this seriously. Because if an executive order has been said that we no longer think that gender ideology is appropriate in public schools without parental consent, then that leads me to believe that it doesn't matter what anyone says about anything, and we can start bringing the Bible to school and it's A-okay. I happen to think it's A-okay. Ask your school districts. LAUSD parents, maybe ask LAUSD the same thing. I did yesterday on my own Instagram. Nobody answered. So let's go ahead right now. We're getting to the end of our Parent Alert, and I want to see if we have any comments to read. Sometimes it is hit or miss, whether or not I can actually look this up on my phone. Let me see if I can find you all on the live. Where are we? Videos. I can't even find my own live today. Oh, here I am. This appears to be me. Let me make sure the volume's not up. Let me see. I cannot find the comments. Oh my gosh. Of course. Of course. Let me see. PragerU. I'm going to the PragerU Facebook page. I do not find my live on the Facebook page. Are we live or we're not live? You see it? I'm scrolling down. The magic of being live, everyone. Drop a comment if you think that I need tech help. I don't see it. I seriously don't see it. I'm scrolling my phone. Oh man, I can't read any comments. Are you all hiding this from me? I can't find it. I can't find it. Are you guys looking at it? Yeah. If there are comments that you can shout out, I'll take it. I seriously cannot find it now, and I'm very, very sad.
Lisa says this needs to be taken out of school. Oh, I'm so glad my kids are not in school.
Lisa says this needs to be taken out of schools. Who else says what? This is how we do it. This is the magic of being live, the technical magic. I cannot read your comments right now, which is hurting my heart. But with all that said, I want to thank you for your time today. That's it for us on Parent Alert by PragerU Kids. Links to click on our Stop Woke Education petition, as well as to check out our books for kindergarten through middle schoolers that are age appropriate, that are educational, that will enrich their life skills and their reading skills and the worldview of everything around them. Those links are listed in the title and description of this live, whether you're on Facebook, YouTube, and eventually this will go to our website, so those links will be listed there too. Check out everything we have to offer you. Subscribe to PragerUkids.com for free. If you want new releases delivered to your inbox for your kids, don't miss an episode. Again, we offer U.S. and world history, American values, good character, civics, financial literacy. Thank you for all your support always. We can't do any of this without you. And definitely give us your feedback. And next time, I don't know what's going on. I seriously cannot read the comments on my phone. So, you know, my feedback is that we will improve this operation. Yes, we will. See you all next time. Happy April Fools. No fools here, though. Bye-bye, guys.